We have all of our section 2s sewn on line 1, and we've pressed toward section 2. You always press toward the section you just added. And all of my papers are back in order now with one at the top. We're going to do line 2. And from now on, this is how you're going to do all the rest of the pieces for the entire unit. There's no more gluing the pieces on there. We're just going to glue the seam allowance. We're going to look for line 2, and it's parallel to line 1. We take our template plastic and fold on line 2 all the way across, and then we have our fabric. We're going to trim. If we look, we see that here's the seam allowance again, and here is the shape, the diamond shape that we need to fill with section 3 fabric. And let's pull section 3 fabric down, and we see the sew side is facing away from us. We can take the clip off and the paper now, and let's fan these a little bit so it's easier to grab. And we'll take the top one, and now these are right side up. This is number 1, and if we want to check, we can check our fabric. It's the same fabric. Take this down. We're going to match the sew side with the trimmed edge and put this up. And here we're going to check our fabric again. Here is where we have to fill. So if we put our finger there and pull this up, we'll see there's a little fabric underneath there. You can see that. This. And if we go to this side over here, pull this up, we see we have fabric on that side too. We're looking at this diamond shape here. Now we'll glue this. Glue and slide, glue and slide. And I'll show you one more. We're going to stack this. We'll stack this over here. And I like to put my next fabric on the mat. So that one's next. And we check. It's the same fabric. Place our fold template on line 2. Fold. Trim. Remove our fold template. Now we've trimmed it. We're going to match the sew side with the trimmed edge, and we're going to look at these lines here and make them parallel. We can see as we come up that we have enough, and we just line it up. And then we can check. There's enough there, and there's enough there. So now we glue. And I'm going to do one more because I don't think that was clear enough. Take our next piece, lay it on the mat, and then take our next template, or our next paper, and check the fabric. Fold on line 2, all the way out, and trim. Now we're looking at our parallel lines here. This line and this line. We'll make sure we have coverage and just bring it up. Match the sew side with the trimmed edge and glue. You will go through now and do your entire stack. When you're finished, you'll take it to the machine the same way. Hold this down, fold it up, sew on line 2, a little bit off and on either side, and we'll press toward section 3 fabric. I wanted to show you when you get to line 3, and usually it's all the odd numbered lines after that, but it could be some of the other lines that you'll have to tear back the fabric. So let's put the template on line 3 and fold the paper back, and you will see that there's fabric attached here. And just continue to fold the fabric and the paper, fold it all the way across. Then take this where the two seams are and just pull it down so the fabric lays flat. Then put your add a quarter ruler and trim. And then you'll put your fabric on just as usual and glue it. So that's what happens when you get to those seams where the fabric is already attached. You do it this way. Do that all the way to line 16 when you attach section 17. When you get to the ends, you're going to have multiple places like that. So what you do, I found that you put your template on the line, and this happens to be line 16, but it happens in some other places too, and fold everything back on the line and just crease it as good as you can, and start from the left hand side and just put your finger on the paper and just take each piece of stitching line and pull it back one at a time, just like this, until they all lay flat. And then just use your add a quarter ruler, and this gets harder to lay the ruler on as it gets longer, so just take your time and cut and then slide if you need to and trim off that edge. Then just match this with your fabric as usual and glue it. When everything has been pieced, it's going to be time to trim the edges. And so we turn it over. And for this one, I'm going to take a little bit longer ruler than I normally do. On these ends, you'll have these two corners, and these are cut. These little bitty pieces here are cut separately, but I always do those after I trim the big lines. Lay your ruler with the 1/4 inch on the 1/4 inch line. The 1/4 inch of the ruler is on the 1/4 inch line of the template. And then we're just going to trim that off and then just trim across. And then you have that trimmed. Turn it around. Do this line. Then turn it. And then there's one smart corner here. And this is a straight line. Just cut that off. And then this line. It's very easy. It's just time consuming because it's long. Trim that. And then this one. And then now we have our smart corners, and we just take our rotary cutter and trim it like that, and trim it like this. And then you have that done. When you're finished, you can remove the papers. And to remove the papers, you start on the last one you added. So here this will be line 16, which is section 17. And just pull the paper back along the seam. And then go to number 16, which is this side. Sometimes if you press it, it helps. And I'll do a couple more. So this is 15. And 14. And section 13. So go ahead and trim all of your units and remove all of the papers. Then you'll go on and do your next stack of 12. Do them all the same way.